like to welcome Marshall Stewart, son of Bryan Barrows, and Ron Jackson, a family friend, to the front.
Good afternoon. I'll have to apologize. I'm a little nervous and extremely emotionally volatile, so I'll start off by saying that. But first of all, really, I want to give a sincere thank you to Lone Star College and everyone who helped put this wonderful event together. I mean, it's so incredible. You know, the college dean, Dr. Stephen Head, and C.C. Septon, and Laura Dupree, Yuri Mendez, you know, Ron Jackson, Charlene Bigham, and the whole team. Just, you know, it's an outstanding honor, you know, to Bryan. I'd also like to thank some of the organizations that have shown their support and honor for Bryan as well, which includes Phi Theta Kappa, Black United Fund, the Lone Star newspaper, Prairie View A&M, Del Mar College. I mean, I could go on. He had so many affiliations. And of course, a sincere thank you to all of you who took the time out to be here today to honor Bryan. It means the world to all of us and all of our entire family, you know, which ranges from the Barrows side, the Sadberries, the De La Cetas, the Stewarts, the Villarreals, I mean, all the factions and, you know, everything, extended family. But really, no matter the relation, Bryan meant so many things to so many of us. You know, he was a loving husband, a father, a teacher, a mentor, a friend, a hero. He made such a huge impact on all of our lives, one that would never be forgotten, as evidenced just by the amount of love and support he's received here and by the many people who couldn't be with us today. And while we're confident that he's resting in eternal peace with God in heaven, he remains immortal in all of our lives, as all of the speakers before me so eloquently put it, you know, just by his legacy of caring for one another and making a difference in the communities around us. Boy, I mean, how many times did he reiterate that, you know? But before I get into anything else, I'd like to say a little bit about Bryan's immediate family, my family. I'd like to start off by introducing us. I'll start with my amazing mother, the best mother anyone could ever ask for, and the greatest one in the world, Dee Barrows, Bryan's wife. And then I have two older brothers, one that couldn't be here with us today, which is Jerry, and then the second older brother, Jero, the handsome one over here. And then I have myself, I'm the third of the sons, and then we have the baby of the family, the most beautiful Michelle, right here. And as was stated earlier, he's our stepfather, but really that meant very little. You know, he put forth the time, the energy, the dedication, the effort, and he took on the overall Goliath task of fathering, you know, some pretty unruly kids. So, you know, for that reason, you know, along with millions of others, we are so honored to call him our father, as he considered us his children. And I'm also fairly confident he probably considered me his favorite child. Just in my humble opinion. Well, let me tell you, it's a tremendous honor for me to be able to speak at this event, because I'd be letting Bryan down if I didn't, given that I once took his speech class and had to earn every bit of that passing grade. I mean, as some of you students know, I mean, everything he said was F. Everything was an F. Everything we did. I could just walk home from work and I get an F, you know, for just walking. I was sweating bullets. But really, in reality, though, I feel confident that we've all can say we took his speech class, because we've all heard him give lectures about Lord only knows what, and talk for hours on end about, you know, anything and anything. So, but you know, before I turn this really into a roast, I should probably tell you all about this next segment here. So the wonderful Lone Star College team, they put together a presentation for Bryan. And they used a recording of Bryan's words to narrate this presentation. Where it comes from is one night while he was recovering in the hospital and I was staying there overnight with him, I woke up in the middle of the night because I heard him mumbling something. And as Dr. Sam said, you know, his voice was booming. I mean, a mumble from Bryan was like all of our deepest Barry White impressions. So it's gonna wake you up, you know. But anyway, as I listened to him talk out loud to himself, I realized he was saying some very profound words. And so I took out my phone and I started to record his message. So ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce the very talented Mr. Ron Jackson to present Bryan's message. Thank you very much.
Before I get into Bryan's words, I have to say one little thing. One day, I love the cookies here, and I was always scrounging as many as I could get, and I would pop in on his classes and sit at the back and eat cookies. And one day he said, you know what? He says, Ron, come up here and tell the story of so-and-so and talk to this class about that. And he said, I'm going to sit back in the back and absorb. He absorbed my cookies. From that day on, he had one name and one name only for me, Cookie Monster. Bryan Barrows was, you know how you go to a state fair and you get a little raffle ticket? And on the back it invariably says, you must be present to win. Bryan was always present, always. He was in the moment with you. He was in the conversation. And I am honored to now read to you Professor Bryan Barrow's words. Well, yeah, it's true. My name is Bryan H. Barrows, Professor of Communications. It's true. Yeah, you know me. I'm the college professor. The friendly one on campus. Quick with a joke and good word for students. And you're probably even some of the students that I spoke to in the halls trying to encourage you to be somebody. Son, pull your pants up. Walk strong. Someday a child's going to depend on you to teach them right from wrong. Or, young lady, think more of yourself, and that young man will think more of you. Yeah, it's true. It's true I'm the one that said all those things, working hard to give people hope, thinking all the time, and saying even more often that each of us ought to want to take the time to make something better in life because we can. But here's the truth. Yes, I did get the message from that doctor of a massive brain tumor. The doctors want to tell you how long you might have to live, so the question to ask, well, college professor, what you gonna do now? I still have faith. I am going to decide what I do now. What do I say? Well, but for everything I seek, I realize that for this moment, my life is poised on a hill, overlooking either a steep drop or a higher hill. But for me, the choice has already been made. I'm either going to stand for something or I'm going to fall for nothing. So which choice am I going to make? I'm amazed how easy it has been to make that choice. And my choice is to stand up and refuse to be beaten because somebody ought to believe. Because somebody ought to be the one who says it's unacceptable to walk into a movie theater, pull a weapon out, and kill men, women, and children. Somebody has to believe that it makes sense to stand up for righteousness. And you see, since I have to make the choice of life or death, I choose life. I choose it. I choose God in my life. I'm going to stand up for righteousness because it's going to be the definition for my life. And so I don't ever want you or anyone else to wonder at this time in my life. I'm blessed today to stand where I am. I stand for right. I stand for success. I stand for dedication. I stand for completion. I stand for faith. I stand for determination. And no matter how fearful I may feel, I get the choice to determine what I do about it. And I choose life. I can't make that decision for anyone else. It's enough for me to make it for me. So I'm asking every single person to look around and simply to make a choice, to make a difference, to do what's right. We have too many people who won't stand up to do what's right, or they shrug their shoulders and watch tyranny as it happens. Lastly, one day I was working and I saw a young man showing his underwear, like I said, at school, walking around. Who wants to see another man's underwear in public? And so I pulled him aside. I didn't embarrass him, but I asked him to pull his pants up, as I said, and he did. But he was offended. And I said to him, "Young man, pull your pants up, please, because we need you." And there are people in this country, in the civil rights movement, who gave their lives so that you could walk on these halls in this campus. And you might also have a cure for AIDS someday. You might cure Ebola. You may be a doctor. You may be a great scientist, a musician. Write a concerto. And we need you because it's true. You might be the one who makes a difference. So listen to me, folks. Please understand. You may be the one who makes a difference. And take it from Professor Bryan Barrow, standing on the precipice, standing on the edge of a cliff. You may be the one to make a difference. And I hope that you will choose to make that difference, to do what's right, simply because you can. Those are the words of Professor Bryan Barrow. He had a favorite story that's a favorite of mine that I use often, and I hope some of you will remember this one. I know Laura remembers this one. He always reminded me of the little girl after a storm down on the bay, and there were hundreds of thousands of starfish washed up on the shore after the storm, dying. And this little young girl was out taking one by one, tossing back into the water. An older man watched what she was doing, shook his hand and walked up to her and said, "Young lady, there are hundreds of thousands of starfish here. You can't possibly think you're making a difference." She looked at the one in her hand. She tossed it into the water and said, "It made a difference to that one." Professor Barrows made a difference to thousands of starfish. Thank you.